Welcome. And today's video is going to be very interesting, but I just want to tell you guys that please subscribe to the channel, it really helps, and share and consider becoming a member. Today's topic is really precious because we are going to talk about the Yoginis and their connection to Matsyendranath. And who is Matsyendranath? Matsyendranath is, in a way, the founder of the Nath Sampradaya. And it's very interesting because he is Gorakshanath's guru, yet he is also Gorakshanath's Shishya. So the thing is that he is born from tapas, okay? He's not born from a biological parent. It's interesting, that's Gorakhnath, that Gorakhnath is not born from a biological parent, and the way Matsyendranath learned the Tantra is also rather unique, alright? So it is said that when Shiva was expounding the Tantric scriptures to Parvati, Matsyendranath or Meenanath was inside a fish and he heard all the scriptures. So this is how, and then of course when Shiva discovered that Matsyendranath had heard the scriptures, that's when he decided to initiate him, and it was like a dvija or a second life for him, and then he became Matsyendranath. And it's interesting because Matsyendranath and Gorakhnath are two such saints that are worshipped not only in Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, but they are also worshipped in Buddhism and in Jainism. Alright, they have very special places in Buddhism and Jainism. And Matsyendranath was very, of course, he was completely Siddh because he heard the doctrine being expounded to Sati from Shiva's own mouth. So he knew all about the mechanics of the universe and he put it to good use, and he, of course, in a way birthed Gorakhnath, because Gorakhnath's birth is also very interesting. Like I said, that both of them have very interesting stories when it comes to Gorakshanath's birth and when it comes to Matsyendranath's initiation, because it wasn't a planned initiation, you see. It was again by fluke, right? But nothing happens by fluke. It is said that Matsyendranath himself is an incarnation of Bhairav. So with the Nath Panthis, first the women in the Nath Panthis, there are women disciples also. In fact, now the Nath Sampradaya is not initiating women unless you have a guru who will initiate you. But the fact is that during Matsyendranath's time, he initiated a whole bunch of women and began the Yogini kaula tradition. Right? Kaula comes from kul. Shaktas are known to be kaulas, okay, a segment of them, and the main premise of kaulas is the goddess worship. So he founded and he also expounded Kula Gyana Nirnaya Tantra, which is his main text. Many texts are credited to him, and if you look at the Buddhist Vajrayana tradition, then you will see that Matsyendranath is so very similar to Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara. And there are many parallels because, of course, even in the Vajrayana tradition, Matsyendranath is considered to be a Siddh. In Nepal and Tibet, even today, the local people consider Gorakhnath and Matsyendranath to be the guardians of the mountains. So if you really look at it, if you really analyze this, Matsyendranath and Gorakhnath are both emanations of Devadidev, Mahadev, Shiv. So there's so many interesting things about Matsyendranath that he deserves a totally separate video, not just talking about the Yogini kaula tradition, So if you're interested in such a video to know more about Meenanath or Matsyendranath, his teachings, his life, his eccentricities, because he was a very eccentric person, very handsome, very because they had awakened the Vajra body, as the Vajrayanas would put it, they were totally Siddh. So the luster in Gorakhnath or Matsyendranath's face, their beauty, the truth they spoke, attracted numerous people. And today we know that you cannot talk about Tantra without talking about Matsyendranath, all right, or Gorakhnath in fact. So the only difference is that when the Gorakshanathis tried to segregate sadhana from women, their stance was that, if you get into the company of a woman, you spend your life away, you become a grihasti, and then you lose the alchemy being the beej or the sperm, because in grihastha your copulation is a common thing. So Gorakhnathis on that side, they were pretty strict that no associations to the sexual act, because even in the Panchamakaras, as I've explained, is not literally Maithun or not literally Matsya. Matsya is Khechari Mudra, like I've explained. Matsya is Pranayam. Okay, Mamsa or meat is the Khechari Mudra, that is eating your own tongue, literally. So like Maithun is also the mixture of Shiva Shakti, the union of Shiva Shakti and the Sahasrar. So we cannot talk about Matsyendranath without talking about the Yogini movement that he was a part of. So he went to Kamrup Kamakhya and he kind of lost himself. With Kamrup Kamakhya is a place of, how shall I say, wise women, magical women. Especially I told you about Tirya. Nona Chamari or Lona Chamari comes from Kamrup. So the biggest tantrikis of all times have essentially either come from Kamrup Kamakhya or they have achieved Siddhi there. Like I told you that any sadhana that you do over there, the effects of that sadhana is enhanced thousands of times if you're doing it in any other Shakti Peeth, right? I've got many videos on Kamakhya if you like. I have a book also available. You can write to me or WhatsApp me and I can send it to you. So the thing is that for Matsyendranath, he saw the feminine as essentially very, very important to the awakening of Shakti. I mean, how could you not? Because after all, what is Shakti Upasana but the worship of the feminine energy that is active? So Shiva or the masculine energy is static, right? That's why Shiva without the E is Shava. And the E is Shakti Beej. Shakti, E. The E sound is feminine. So obviously there is no Vidya. Vidya is also the mantra of a female deity. So there is no Vidya without women. And Matsyendranath, when he went to Kadali, in the forest of Kadali in Kamrup Kamakhya, he was extremely enamored by all the, I won't say witches because witches is such a derogatory term, all the tantric women there. And then he kind of forgot all about his sadhana, and he would roam the forests and he would sing and dance with them. And he used to roam with 64 of those yoginis. So there is a story in the text of the Nath Sampradaya that Gorakhnath, because he could not enter into the forest of Kadali, men are prohibited entry there. So he turned himself into a woman and he began to play the mridangam. Okay, the mridangam is a fantastic Indian classical instrument, and if you listen to the mridangam, it's a drum, percussion instrument. It immediately, it has the capability to shift your frequency. So mridangam is one such instrument, and the sound is really very magnetic. So with this, Gorakhnath began to sing to Matsyendranath, and in fact, Gorakhnath had seen a vision that his guru was totally dying in the forests of Kadali because he lost his yogic powers and what have you, right? So he goes there, he becomes a woman, and he starts to awaken Matsyendranath. So with the sound of the mridangam and Gorakh singing, that's when Matsyendranath realizes his divine purpose, shall we say, and awakens and returns back with his disciple Gorakhnath. Now, many people tend to take these allegorical anecdotes as literal, that, Gorakhnath literally rested him out. And see, there's a literal side to this, but a lot of this is metaphorical or allegorical. So the thing with the Matsyendranath is that he spent a lot of time with the feminine, trying to understand the feminine, because who's the closest representation of Shakti on this 3D platform? It's women. So if you are indeed a Shakta worshipper, you have to understand the feminine energy. Uchishta Ganapati, the greatest Shakta master. He is also Ganesh, though most people don't know Uchishta Ganapati's form, because many consider Ganesh to be celibate. But that is not so. There is a form of Ganpati, that not only a form, many forms are tantric forms of Ganpati exist with Shakti. But the Uchishta Ganapati is one such echo. You can call it like Radha or Krishna and the whole Rasa Leela. So all of these stories, these myths are essentially signaling to the union of Shiva Shakti. Alright, so the polarities, masculine and feminine. So it's very powerful when you speak about how Matsyendranath actually began this group of initiations for women. Because it is said in Tantra that nobody, like no man, can achieve Siddhi as quickly as a woman if she puts her mind to it. Why? Because Kundalini Shakti is already active in her. So she can tap into that easier and awaken the Kundalini. Because after all, she is a form of Shakti. So with Matsyendranath, he put a lot of emphasis on the Yoginis, and because after all, Bhairav is the twin flame of the Yoginis, right? So there is in every temple, in every Yogini temple, you will always find Bhairavs. Like in every Devi temple also, you will always find Bhairav as a lingam. So Bhairav is none other than Shiva. We know the story of how Bhairav was born. I think I have explained it a few times, but for those of you that don't know, once Brahma had become very egotistic, and he was like, I created the universe, everything is because of me. I am the most powerful deity in the Trinity. So, Vishnu is extremely logical, rational. So he said that, no, you are not, because after all, the most powerful deity is Mahadev. So Brahma obviously didn't listen, and then they went to the 4 Vedas, and they said that, okay, so who is the most powerful deity in the Trinity? And the Vedas, of course, repeated what Vishnu had already stated, that it is Mahadev. So this did not sit well with Brahma, and he began to say certain things, okay, maybe utter obscenities or whatever. And that is when from the forehead of Shiva there fell like a sweat drop, And from that, Bhairav was born. And as Bhairav was born, there was, Bhairav. Bhair means fear. So one who has conquered fear. So Bhairav, when he came out, and he came out in the Kal Bhairav, Batuk, some say Kal Bhairav. So, and then he severed Brahma's fifth head with his nail. And that is when that Brahma realized that Shiva, of course, the Mahadev, is indeed the most powerful deity of the Trinity. So, Bhairav, now you understand that, of course, then Bhairav had to go on a pilgrimage because he, after all, had killed Brahma. Okay, yes, Brahma was being egotistical. Yes, he had, committed some sins, but what was done was done. So he was asked to go on a pilgrimage. And after the completion of his pilgrimage, that's when and there are a lot of anecdotes in this. I have mentioned in my Bhairav videos, so check them out. And there's some secret kriyas that Bhairav indeed practiced. And after that only after that could he get rid of the Brahma Hatya curse that was put upon him. And after that he became the Kotwal of Kashi. Because even today we know that Bhairav is the Kotwal, Kotwal means police officer. So he is like the police officer of Kashi Vishwanath. And also there are stories and myths that speak of how powerful Bhairav is in Varanasi. If you go to Benares and you just see Kashi Vishwanath and don't go to Bhairav Mandir, in fact your pilgrimage is not complete. So you have to ideally go once before, once after the pilgrimage to the Bhairav temple in Kashi. And it is a very, very active, because Bhairav is the form of Shiva that is accessible to us. Because Devadidev, Mahadev is in fact, always lost in Yog Nidra, always lost in Dhyan, contemplation, meditation. So he is not readily available unless you do, extreme penances and tapas. Mahadev is not easily available. Though some say, he's Bholenath because he's pleased so easily. That is true only if you can get his attention. Because mostly Bhairav is the part of him who helps us, who keeps the universe functioning with its own set of laws and things like that. In fact, the origin story of Ganpati, in there also we see that Shiva was increasingly becoming uninterested to, run the universe, day-to-day runnings. So that's when he appointed Ganpati, when all that fiasco happened and the head was severed and all that. So that's when he appointed Ganpati to become Ganapati. Gana means species, Pati means leader. So even in that myth, if we relate it to Bhairav's archetype, we see that Shiva is not readily available. Right? Not readily available, though we do worship him in Sakar form, that is, with the features. But mostly Shiva is worshipped in the Lingam, which is the abstract form of Shiva. So immediately we realize that there's no, to hold, to grasp, to augur this energy, it is not easy. That's why Bhairav is the acting energy of Shiva. Bhairav is not separate from Shiva, and in fact they are one and the same. In fact, even Ganpati and Shiva are one and the same. I always explain in the videos that when we talk about 64 yoginis, we are talking about actually all a part of one Shakti, the Adi Shakti, Kali. Right? So they're all part of that. And Kali is always with Shiva and Shiva is always with Kali. There's no worshipping, any Shakta will tell you that there's no worshipping Shakti without Shiva. Any Shaiva, any Kashmiri Shaivism Pandit will tell you that there is no worshipping Shiva without Shakti. So there are sort of two sides. No, I didn't. No. No, I didn't say peaches. I said worship Bhairav. I don't know. I didn't say peaches. No. I said that Bhairav is easily pleased. Is that I said, I don't remember saying peaches. No, there are no peaches here. We don't usually use peaches for puja, but nowadays anything goes. Like I said, whatever is available to you, right? Whatever is available to you. So this is the story that tells us that clearly Shiva is not actively engaged at this time. However, during the month of Shravan, Shiva is more accessible. All right, more accessible. Is the sound okay? Can you hear me? Because, or is it too soft, or is it okay, the sound? I do feel like a hum, but okay. So the thing is that Bhairav is the twin flame to the Yoginis. There are 64 Yoginis and there are 64 Bhairavs. Alright? Yes, you can use jackfruit. Yes, you can. So, okay. So the thing is that Bhairav is the twin flame to the Yoginis, and Matsyendranath is none other than Bhairav. And if you read the kaula Gyan Nirnay Tantra, called the Gyan Nirnay Tantra, a lot of the text is written in riddles. Absolutely, you don't, it doesn't make sense. But that's how the literature of Nath Sampradaya, that is how the literature is, okay? It's allegorical, it's symbolic, the language used is metaphorical, so it's not always 2 plus 2 is 4. And there are no clear indications to meaning. That's why this tradition is Gurumukhi. Without a correct guide, you cannot jump into this tradition, because like I said that when there's an electrical mishap and in one of those lines of electricity in that 1 voltage box, and there's something goes wrong, I think so, and something goes wrong, and then all wires are going, or say there's a storm or something, right? Yeah, it is available. In fact, there is a called Gyan Nirnay Tantra. There is a new book that's out, a translation. So yeah, you can check it out. A lot of the things are available, but as I said, that most of these texts are not written by practitioners. They are written by scholars who study either the linguistics or then they take the interest and they translate it. So therefore a lot of the meaning is lost. But then nobody can really force feed you these meanings, because it's absolutely intuitive. It plays with your imagination. That's what sadhana does. It enhances, right, the scope of your imagination. It enhances your creativity. It tunes you to the silence so you can hear more. Because like I told you that I will call the Gyan Nirnay Tantra. Alright? So it's available. It's available. And so as I was saying, that the veracity of the meaning is often challenged, because somebody who studies this as a, as an academic curiosity For them, this is academia, you know, it's not life, it's not experience. So here I can talk about, you know, maybe a part of Tantra, or maybe, you know, what I've heard, or what I've translated and understood, because you cannot understand these texts if you do not live this life. If you cannot talk about the yoginis. I mean, you can write about their temples, you can, because most of their system is lost. So yeah, Shama Shongit video will happen, but the thing is that if I start playing Shama Shongit, because you know, how will I do it? I will play Shama Shongit, play 2 lines and explain it to you, which is not done ever. And believe me, in the Shakta tradition, Bengal is kind of like in a different headspace. So you cannot really understand the Shakta tradition without the Bengali literature on this topic. I'm so lucky that it's a language that I can read, and I'm really, it's my mother tongue, so I'm really happy with that. But Shama Shongit, the way I will explain it, will be a first, but YouTube will definitely monetize, demonetize that video, because you know, I'll have to play the Shama Shongit to explain it, or I could just read it, because I'm no singer. So there's that part. I don't want to start singing and you know, make you guys run away, but let's see how I can go around that. Maybe I will not enable monetization for that video, but then you know, YouTube just flags you. If I use Shama Shongit, they may flag me. But yeah, there's definitely that part, because the explanations, the translations, you cannot really embark on Shakta Tantra without understanding that. That's like I said, that if you think Kali is a goddess and I'm going to do Tantra, Mantra, Yantra, and I'm going to impress Kali, I'm going to control her, I'm going to, you know, do Vashikaran with her, I'm going to do Uchchatan with her, then you are the fool. You have to understand that this is the energy that is the source of everything. So if this is the energy that is the source of everything, it is the source of you. So when you think of your source is your parent. Your source is your mother. So the Shakta Bengal tradition understood the Shakti as the mother. So the way, if you look at the bards of Bengal, or even if you look at Baul as a tradition, these traditions, the way they exemplify the energy of the divine, it's unbelievable actually. In fact, just now I was listening to this, that the word that Rajanikanta used was Mohakaler Monmohini. That he calls Ma Kali Mohakaler Monmohini. That means you are the enchantress of Mahakal. Who is Mahakal? Mahakal is Mahadev himself. Alright, and again it's a form of Bhairav, Mahakal Bhairav. Yeah, I really want to do that, but you know, I could not find the 21 patris. Again, that is just going to be like a discourse. I'll not be able to show you the puja, because to get a hold of that 21 types of leaves, I mean, I don't know, I possibly have to go to a botanist for that, but that's another thing. So yeah, Shama Shongit is definitely something I'm gonna do, and if you guys want that, then see, no matter where you're from, if you've got to understand Shakta Tantra, even Shoiva Tantra or Shaiva Tantra in many ways, the Bengali texts kind of form a hallmark. And like I said, that the Bengali understood the Shakti as the mother. Even Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, the way Vivekananda, or even if you take Aurobindo, all these people, they understood this Adi Shakti, Mool Prakriti, as the mother. So like I tell many people, that if you think that you are going to do Kali's mantra and you complete the Purushcharan and then expect to get Siddhi, you most likely won't. But if you manage to connect with this energy, and Kali is electromagnetism. So if you manage to connect to this electrical energy, see the mantra, kring, kring. You can also say cream. But if you are Dikshit, then you say kring, gakar, kring, 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 whom, whom. In fact, whom or whom, it requires a totally separate video because that's humkar. Like we have om, u, hi, u, om, right? And then you have om, which is also Krodh beach, which is Chinnamastha beach. So humkar is actually a sound that you have to be humkar sit in the Nath Sampradaya. Even in Vajrayan tradition, humkar is, especially in the Sahajya tradition. So yeah, all those videos are pending. I know I've been speaking like for 4 or 5 years that I'm going to do Rajinikanth's videos and translate them for you, because you know the thing with translation is that if you are not well versed in both languages and do not understand the how shall I say, the essence, the quintessential. Yes, I did. I tried to make a design with Alta, and it was nice, believe me. But then I started to spread the circle, and then it got totally botched up. So I just decided to, do this. This looks better than a botched up Alta job on my hand. But yeah. So let's get back to the video before I digress any further. It's already at 31 minutes, and when I get talking and it's like 2 hours, and then nobody wants to click the video. It's like, how are we going to even comprehend this woman talking for 2 hours about what, right? So let's get back to the topic at hand. And if you guys want the Rajinikanto videos, or if you have something like a request, then write in the comments below and consider becoming a member, because I hardly make any money, believe me, from YouTube, and it's a lot, and I have to get ready, and so please consider becoming a member so that I can at least balance out some effort, energy equals to some rewards, right? So coming back to Matsyendranath again. So the thing with Matsyendranath and his experiences at Kamru Kamakhya tell us that he really did not want to go back to the sterile Nath Sampradaya. And this is another thing that I said, that when you compare and then again, another video that I get asked a lot about is the difference between Vajrayan and Shakta Tantra, and who came first and what happened and blah blah blah. And I am going to do that possibly in the next video, because a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions, let's just put it that way. But I will address this for sure. But the thing that I was just telling you, and I completely forgot what I was going to say. I was about to say something about Vajrayan, and never mind. I completely forgot what I was going to say. But coming back to, yes. So if you look at, say, the Yogini temple, if you look at Kamru Kamakhya, and you see how the temples are built, especially, you look at Bheda Ghat temple, or look at Hirapur temple, right? They're hypaethral, roofless. So the thing that when you look at Buddhist sanghas, right, all phallic structures, sterile environments, the sterile mindset of the Buddhists. Whereas the minute you come to Shakta Tantra and you see the hypaethral temples in Hirapur, and they are amazing. Just the minute you get into them, you start to feel the vibration. Like I told you, that it's a place I have visited so many times in my childhood, because Puri was a place that my family would visit every year, right? And my father would not only take me to Jagannath Puri Darshan, and then he would take me to all the nearby temples. And this Yogini temples we visited so many times together. And not only me, my father, he felt the same energy, the same sound, Brahmari. And Brahmari is deeply connected to Kundalini and Humkar. So we both felt it. So when you compare and contrast the Sangha culture of the Buddhists to the Yoginis and to the Shakti worship, you can immediately understand the more phallic, the more sterile system. Whereas with the Yoginis, with Kamru Kamakhya, you see the more the womb-like structures. So immediately fertility, and they stand in stark contrast. Though I am going to expound upon, what came first and what happened, and, a lot of stuff about Vajrayana, a lot of stuff about our system, Shakti Upasana. And not that the Vajrayana people are not into Shakti, Prajna Paramita. So, when you look at Pragya, Pragya is the ultimate feminine, the Kali, Pragya. So the Vajrayanas, many schools of Vajrayana actually practice the more sexual side of Tantra, which is why I think it garners a lot of interest, because that is something sex sells. So that is something that a lot of people are teaching as Vajrayana, or many have broken into this facet of Neo Tantra. But if you look at the Yoginis, like I told you, that the Yoginis, although in Khajuraho you can find some sensual imagery of the Yoginis, and it scandalized the missionaries, I tell you. The English missionaries would go to Khajuraho, would go to these temples, and they'd be scandalized. These beautiful, voluptuous women with long flowing hair, these feminine figures. And we understand that in the Abrahamic system, essentially a woman is made from the rib of Adam, right? And the woman who was made with Adam was made to leave heaven, right? Lilith. So, it's, I mean, I don't know, there's so many ways to look at it, really. So there's a stark contrast in the Sangha culture and in the Shakti worship, the real Shakti worship that Matsyendranath was into. Matsyendranath was into, maybe I'll keep this a bit this side so you guys can say, yes. Yeah, that looks good. That kind of completes it. Stupid of me to put it at the back, it's really, and I could just moving like that, I could just bump into that. That'd be one disaster. So as I was saying that when we talk about the fertility, the fecund nature of the Yoginis, not only equating it with eroticism, although I did say that in Khajuraho you can find some erotic imagery, but that was not the be-all and end-all of what? This? Yes, it was a gift actually. So it was not the be-all and end-all of it, of everything. Like I told you that the Yoginis, most of them were celibates. Most of them were celibates, and not only that, their teachings, a lot of that is encased in this book called the Nirnaya Tantra, written by Matsyendranath himself. But it's very difficult to translate that book. Now, coming back to this particular text that called Nirnaya Tantra, Matsyendranath expounds upon the power of 8 forms of knowledge, each expressed in 8 different ways. So 8 into 8 is 64. Now, a very interesting point here is I was actually born in 8:08 a.m. So that's a crazy coincidence. Uchishta Ganapati is the 8th avatar. Bhairav, Bhairav's number is 8. So many people have asked that, are all the yogis worshipped together? Or is one yogini worshipped at a time? So the thing is that it totally depends upon how you receive the transmission. But in most cases, 8 yoginis are worshipped together inside a yantra that you draw with a circle and 8 spokes, like flowers, like kind of flowers we used to draw when we were in nursery, that kind of flowers. So just a circle with 8 spokes like that. So in that, the Gupta Bij will be given, and in many cases it's Humkar actually. Hum. So 8 into 8, I completely digressed. Also another very interesting thing that I noted was that the yoginis, we talk about Hirapur or Bheraghat, most of the yoginis are sitting in Lalitasana. Now, Lalitasana is when you keep one leg in, like your left leg in, your right leg in and your left leg out, right? You'll see Durga sits like that, Tara sits like that. I was born a foot-long breech. So, breech babies when the heads are like right here. So, but the thing with my breech condition was that my left foot was down exactly like a Lalitasan. So these little things, it's how when you look at something, when you study it, you realize it's all inside of you. The point of saying this, is to tell you that there's just so many things out there that are so mysterious and so absolutely mind-boggling that when you look at it deeply, you see that it exists within you in some ways, if you're connected to that thing. So the thing is that Lalitasana is one leg tucked in, right? So the right is tucked in, the left is extending downwards. And most of the yoginis, they rest either on a mount. The Chinnamasta yogini rests on a decapitated head. So it's like that, and this is the same pose. This particular Lalitasana is seen with kings and with gods and goddesses. You don't see this pose with in a common portrait, okay, and especially in the old days. So immediately we understand the regal association of the yoginis. Like I told you that the yoginis were not worshipped by XYZ. They were worshipped by the kings. The kings would worship the yoginis before going into battle or before doing something really important, for taking any really important decisions. It's the same thing, right? Like millionaires don't need astrologers, but billionaires do. Same way the common person did not, were kept away from the energy of the yogini. But the kings are quite selfish, so they wanted all the good stuff for themselves. So that's why the kings worship their yogini. Same with the Lalitasan, alright, that one foot tucked in, one foot extended. So this was quite interesting story of mine as a foot-long breech, and then later I grow up to realize that the yoginis sit like that, and I sat like that in the womb. So little things, 808, like Matsyendranath says, that 8 powers, right? 8 forms, yoginis are 8 forms of knowledge. So that yantra I just told you, the circle and 8 spokes, that's actually how knowledge is expressed. And also the way it is expressed. 8 spokes are again expressed in 8 ways, each spoke. So 8 into 8, 64. Now listen to the 8 Vidyas, alright? Ring, Kasah. Ring, Kasah. Now if you are doing the Yogini class with me, then you will be doing all of this, these yogic practices, these Yogini practices, right? What's yoga but union? When we talk about yoga or yogi, we think of like, Hatha yoga. But yoga is actually union with the divine. So, Rim Ksa, Rim La, Rim Ha, Rim Sah, Rim Va, Rim Ra. So, it's very interesting because when you look at this, Kasah is a very important beach. Alright? And it has a lot of connection to Bhairavi actually. And La is what? Lung. La with Anushwar becomes lung. Lung is Prithvi Tattva. What is Prithvi Tattva? Mooladhara Chakra. Then Ring Ha. Hum. Hum is what? Vishuddha. Right? So, and Sa. Va. Ra. Ra, Va also, if you do Pancha Puja, you do my workshops, you learn the Pancha Puja, and when you do Pancha Puja and you're just offering like, chandan or flowers or like diya, then if you just offer them, then you don't get all the benefits. But each thing when offered, you have to offer with a beej. You have to offer with a mudra. The thing with Shakta Tantra is the use of beej, the use of visualization techniques, of course. The use of mudras, because mudras, the Pancha Tattvas reside in the 5 fingers. So that's why it's a Shukri Mudra. When you're doing jap or when you're doing meditation, you should always sit in Shukri Mudra. Yeah, you can sit in Gyan Mudra, but best to sit in Shukri Mudra. Shukra, this relates to the planet Shukra. So it immediately balances the 5 elements and also gives you money, attraction. Look at that, together. Someone asks you, I hope you've got your shit together. Together. So what is this? Together. This is Panchatattva. Together. So this Shukri Mudra is actually really interesting. If you want to do my WhatsApp course, drop me an email or contact me on WhatsApp, and each day you will receive a lesson with meditation, mantra, visualization, and tons of unknown stuff, right? This is not something you will find anywhere. So it's priced at $11 a lesson. You have to book a minimum of 11 lessons. There are 64 lessons. So if you're interested, drop me an email and connect to the yoginis firsthand, because each day you're going to experience the power and energy of a yogini and understand the symbolism behind their therianthropomorphic forms. So now, like I told you, that this vidya that is expressed in 8 different ways, I told you some beaches. Rim Ksa, Rim La, Rim Ha, Rim Sa, Rim Va, Rim Ra. These parts are again 8-fold. So Rim, Kala Rim, this Rim, Klhreem. So Kalahreem. They are not allowing any vowels, only consonant. Kalahreem. I said Ramalavadiyum. That's the bij of Agni. Ramalavadiyum. So it's not Ramala, it's Ramalavadiyum. Right? Only the consonants. You do not pronounce the vowels. So this is Kalahreem. Kalahreem. It's very powerful. This is known as Kaulika Bhairavi. Kaulika Bhairavi is actually a divine state of consciousness. And this Kaulika Bhairavi consciousness is related to Yogini chakra. And of course, who is the central anchor? Bhairav. Bhairav is always the anchor to the Yogini energy. Without Bhairav, there are no Yoginis. Without Yoginis, there is no Bhairav. Okay, so it's very important to understand this. And this Vidya, Hrim Klahrim, this Kaulika Bhairavi, is actually related to Yogini chakra. Someday I'll talk about the Yogini chakra. And one will combine the Vidya in 8 ways. Hello. In 8 ways, this Vidya has to be combined. And he says that the first of the 8 has spoken. Just as this has been formed in a combination, so all the Yoginis should be considered as combining in the same way, says Matsyendranath in Kaula Gyan Nirnay Tantra. And it's very, very interesting actually. Also, like I mentioned to you, that how in this how that Bhairav, Mahabhairav, has 9 parts to his soul. His soul is made up of 9 elements. And watch the last video if you haven't already. And Mahabhairav is the soul of the goddess. So you cannot have one without the other. Now, Matsyendranath has given us so much with regards to, with regards to celebrating the feminine. Because if you look at Dadanath Panthis, they mostly consider women to be problematic or, distractions, but not Matsyendranath. So in a way, he really differed from the other Nathpanthis. And in Chandi Puran, 15th century text by Sarala Das, in this text there's reference to the Yoginis being forms of the Devi. I told you whether you call her Durga, you call her Kali, she's one and the same. Durga slays Mahishasur, and she as Chandi liberates many female warriors. And these are the Yoginis. So Chandi, Prachanda Chandika, I told you that Chinnamasta's name is Prachanda Chandika. So Prachanda Chandika liberated these female warriors. Right? And when we think about Indian women, in our culture, we tend to think of homemakers or demure women, who could not speak their minds, who were controlled. But this is not what we see as, when you look into our history. When we look at, whether they be reliefs on stones, whether they be, ancient manuscripts. And here's one system, Shakta Tantra, that actually celebrates the feminine, So it's the essence of everything. It's the essence of dynamism in creation, right? So Durga, like I said, that these Yoginis in this text are fond of flesh, blood and bone marrow. I told you all of this is allegorical, symbolic, blood being, symbol of life, blood being also symbol of sacrifice, flesh, if you look at it, flesh, our bodies are literally the flesh prison that sort of confines the soul for most people. And it is, how many people think of liberation? How many people think that, okay, I am in this flesh prison? Yet I don't think that it's so bad, because obviously your soul has incarnated for a reason. That's why you are in this flesh prison. You have a reason to be here. But essentially, again, flesh. So they're fond of flesh. That means that they eat up the flesh and they free the soul, right? So they free the soul. And you realize the Leela, the infinite game. So this is very important. And bone marrow. So, hello. So bone marrow. This has a lot of meaning, because without the bone marrow, the bones would become brittle, right? So it gives us support. So it helps us stand. And again, bones have a close association to Saturn. Blood is related to Mars. And flesh, in a sense, would be related to Venus, because Venus is the significator of progeny. Jupiter is also, but when we talk about flesh, I think it would be more Venusian here. So consuming all of that wants and desires, the yoginis consume our unnecessary wants and desires. Now the thing is that they used to consume the demons. The demons being our lower propensities, our lower vibration. That I want this, I want that, I want fame, I want social media success. So all of these, right? And that and if you don't have that success, then you are upset, stressed out, causing negative emotions. So this, and sadly, many animals have been sacrificed, although in the ancient era, 9th, 10th century, the yoginis were not into animal sacrifice. But a lot of people later on began to sacrifice animals to them. And it is said that Devi Sarala and the yoginis were propitiated by blood. What they don't understand is that the animal is a symbol of your lower self. Okay, here you are a non-vegetarian and you sacrifice an animal. What difference does it make to you? Sacrifice doesn't happen if you kill somebody else and you think that, oh, I'm going to get spiritual merits for taking the life and soul, or you're going to give bhog, prasad to masans or der futya, and that's when you do animal. You're propitiating malevolent spirits. Because people ask me that, does Ma Kali drink alcohol? Why is alcohol offered to her? No, Ma Kali doesn't drink alcohol. The alcohol is allegorical of the soma that drops from the cranium. And if the tongue, if you have practiced Khechari Mudra, then it creates a bandhak, because otherwise the somras falls through and falls down at the Mooladhara and is consumed by the sun. So the sun and the moon in Nath Sampradaya, the sun and the moon magic, what does it mean? The Ira Pingala magic. I will make a video on that for sure. But we must understand that alcohol is not alcohol. Okay, it's become that in Kali Yuga. Many people argue with me on this, that no, it's alcohol, it's this, it's that. Matsya is not pranayam, it's really the consumption of fish. Mamsa is not khechari, it is the consumption of meat. Look, a lot of people still offer animal sacrifice. Not only in the tantric system, but in many, many religions in the world, they offer animal sacrifice. So, it's honestly it honestly boils down to what stage of evolution you are at. Your unique story. I mean, I'm not going to force feed you. I mean, I'll be very hurt when you kill an animal, if you think of animal sacrifice. It will devastate me. But you are your own author. You are at the stage of evolution that you are at. You know? So that's important to understand that the alcohol that is offered is symbolic of the soma, the elixir. Alright, it's not literally alcohol. The meat that is offered is literally khichdi, but how many people can perform khichdi mudra or even practice to perform khichdi mudra? So we have to understand that, yeah, true. So this is something. Now, Vajrayan, the Vajrayan tradition redefined nirvana, which we called moksha. You will not be sober. If we will not be sober if you know how to do tratak. You will be intoxicated. If you know how to do pranayam and if you can control your breath, you will be absolutely intoxicated. A lot of people tell me that, are you high? No, I'm not high. I'm just high on sadhana. With this comes a calmness. This comes a state of inebriation. And that is not like, oh my God, I had alcohol, now I have to go and puke. It's something else. So Vajrayan basically redefined nirvana, moksha, what we call moksha, as shunya. Okay? Vigyan and Mahasukh. Yes, exactly. A Mahasukh. And this is how they defined nirvana. Shunya, shunyata, Vigyan, and Mahasukh means Param Sukh, or supreme bliss, supreme happiness, and could be achieved in the embrace of a yogini. So this is what Vajrayan people had said, Pragya Paramhita. This is what they said, that she is Shakti, the yogini is Shakti. So the Vajrayan people, they also call the yoginis Dakinis. Dakinis, yoginis. Now yoginis and Dakinis, they do have a segregation, but again, it's become interchangeable now. Yakshani, Dakini, a lot of people tend to use these words interchangeably. So without the embrace of a yogini, without the embrace of the feminine, without Kali, there is no Shiva. Without Shiva, there is no Kali. So in certain schools of Vajrayan and in Shakta Tantra, it was taught that without the woman, there is not going to be any nirvana, there's not going to be any moksha, there's not going to be anything. Right? Because she is Shakti, like I just explained. Right? She is Shakti. And the union of them is Yoga. Now, it's, in Sanatan Dharma, we have many temples, such profoundly mysterious temples that, it's mind-boggling actually. But different temples endow the seeker with certain frequencies, alright? And to achieve Siddhi easily, when you go into certain temples, they give you certain energies. So in Benares, right, when you go into Benares, Kashi Vishwanath, Benares gives you knowledge or pragya. It gives you knowledge. When you go to Ayodhya, then you learn of self-sacrifice in Ayodhya. When you go to Kamakhya, you learn all about surrealism and magic. But when you come to the Yogini temple in Khajuraho, there the ancients have shown our bodies as the temple. It's very clear, right? In Khajuraho, when you're looking at the reliefs, if you have not gone to Khajuraho, then I suggest please do go, because it is it's absolutely crazy. So there. The interesting thing with, if you study those sex or erotic imagery, you can discern, if you have a discerning intellect, you can discern that there is a deeper meaning behind all that sexual imagery. The ancients are trying to tell you that, hello, your body is a temple. Okay, and I mean, not like those yoginis and the reliefs are naked or anything. They are only semi-erotic, okay, semi-eroticism. Now, 64 yoginis, right? 64 bhairavs. Now, according to Matsyendranath, there are 64 types of tantric powers. 64 types. That's why when you talk about kalves, 64 kalves, 64 bhairavs, 64 tantras. Now, and what does that add up to? 64? 64 yoginis also, it adds up to 10. 6 plus 4, 10, right? And that is 1, because 1 plus 0, if you reduce it to one integer, you get 1. Again, 1, Mahavidya, Adishakti, Parashakti, Ma Kali. Very simple. Now, Dada Guru Matsyendranath has also said that 64 yoginis, they guide and govern the entire fabric of life. The entire fabric of life. The yoginis guide and govern, and they hold the mind and the body together. They hold it together and they animate or give prana in them. It's one thing to have a body, but when the soul leaves, what happens? The body is useless, right? So the thing is that no matter how complex our brains are, no matter how complex our physiologies are, the life force has to be breathed into us. So that is again the work of the yoginis. That they breathe the life force into this vessel. So again, there are different layers of consciousness. You see something, you read a line, and then you understand one layer of meaning. If you are very, very erudite, you maybe get to 3 levels. If you have an extremely perspicacious mind, you may get to 5 levels. If you have an expansive vocabulary about that particular topic, or you're doing a PhD on it, or it's really your life's passion, and then you may know layers that nobody can even envisage. Oh my God, such layers exist. You can look in even characters that you love, whether they be literary, whether they be on television or on streaming services. There's so many layers to a character, and there's so many layers your imagination can bring forth. When I like a character, absolutely, Gorakhnath and Matsyendranath are both immortals. Both are immortals, Gorakhnath and Matsyendranath. So, yeah. Now, the yogini sadhana, what it does is, it awakens forces within us. Such forces within us that help us with siddhi. That's why I told you that even before a Durga Puja, or before a Kali Puja, or even before a Navavrana Puja, okay, all the yoginis must be worshipped and propitiated. only can then you get near Ma. Otherwise, no. They control it. So now it's absolutely mandatory that they are worshipped at the beginning of every sanskar. And this is the cult of the goddess, the Yogini cult that Matsyendranath founded, created, breathed life into, because he's Bhairav, right? So Bhairav, he is the twin flame of the Yoginis, like Kali is the twin flame of Shiva. Then once you come really study this in depth, you realize that the Yoginis are none other than Kali. You realize that, okay, Bhairav is none other than Shiva. So it all really boils down to that same thing, right? That everything is of the essence of Shiva, Shakti. Okay? Now, the Yogini worship is deeply embedded at the very roots of Shakta worship. So you cannot avoid it. And its roots are deeply embedded in the religious settings of the subcontinent. Like Rajanikanta says, Ami mantro tantro kichui janine ma. So the Yoginis are your mother, in a way, like Kali is your mother. That Ami mantro tantro kichui janine go ma. Shudu ja jenechi etuk holo shei. তোরে ডাকার মতো ডাকতে যদি পারি তবে আসবি নে তোর এমন সাধ্য নেই আমি মন্ত্র তন্ত্র কিছুই জানি নে মা that means I don't know mantra, I don't know tantra যদি যা জেনেছি এটুক হলো সেই the only thing that I know তোরে ডাকার মতো ডাকতে যদি পারি that if I know how to call you from the very bottom of my heart তবে আসবি নে তোর এমন সাধ্য নেই and then if I call you with such fervor, such intensity, you cannot not come. So it is, imagine, I told you in the last video that bhakti can only be expressed through the bhakt. So she can manifest through my bhakti, through my love. So she needs me like I need her. So this is the premise on which Rajanikanta says that তোরে ডাকার মতো ডাকতে যদি পারি তবে আসবি নে তোর এমন সাধ্য নেই that you dare not come. If I call you with such fervor, such intensity, I don't know tantra, I don't know mantra. So this is at the psyche, you know, and it helps you understand the kind of relationship that we are talking about, right? And it's each Shama Shongit, each song, each line, it's so exquisitely crafted. I still cry when I hear Shama Shongit and I'm by myself, and you know, I usually listen to Shama Shongit by myself, and I always cry because it is one such okay, I hope the sound is all right. It is one such topic that you cannot not cry if you are connected to this Adi Shakti. Then you cannot not cry when you think about the mother, when you think about the connection you have with her. You know, it's also a very effective way to heal the mother wound. A lot of us, you know, we don't have earthly mothers who have loved us or supported us. And many of us will carry these wounds through the entirety of our lives, honestly. And when you connect to the divine as a mother, then she is bound to come, because bhakti is only expressed through a bhakta. That is bhakt. A bhakt. What we say bhagat. In tantric parlance we call it bhagat. क्या आपको तंत्रिक बनना है, क्या आपको भगत बनना है? First things first. Do you want to be a tantric or do you want to be a bhagat? Right? When you are a tantric, then you worship her as Shakti, as an energy, as a power. You use incantation, you use sacrifices, you give animal sacrifices, you know, do sex magic, and you try to control this. That's a tantric. Now when you take this same vidya and you take that vidya and you surrender everything, and this is also an amalgamation of the bhakti tradition seeping through. You know, that Ma, I mean, what's more profound than Ma? That, you know, I don't know Tantra, I don't know Mantra, but I know she's my mom. Tomorrow, if I call her and my heart cries out and I'm calling her for a friend or for a student, and I cry and I tell her that, Ma, you have to do this, she always listens. No matter how many Purashcharnas I do, ring 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 hung hung ring ring Dakshina Kali ge ring 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 hung hung ring ring Swaha. I mean, you have to do Purashcharnas, okay, because you have to connect to the Kali energy. Kali Kapala Dehi Dehi Swaha. Kali Kapala Dehi Dehi Swaha. It's one of the most powerful mantras from the Kapalic tradition. You have the Augur Pant. Pant is in Nath Panthis, there are different Panthis. There's Augur Panthi, there's Aghor Panthi. There's also subtle difference between Aghor and Ogad. Ai Panthi, Satnam Panthi. There are many pants. And so this is also kind of like understanding her as the mother. জেনেছি তারা তুমি জানো ভোজের বাজি যে তোমায় যেভাবে ডাকে তাতে তুমি হও মা রাজি. It means that no matter how, you know, no matter how one calls you, you're always there. You're always there to listen, you're always there to love. That's why I always tell people that once you connect to this energy and that you feel loved, okay, that you feel like, yes, she loves me, and you connect to that love, that will take you through everything. That'll take you through everything, right? Such is the experience of Kali. Such is the experience of Paramhamsa Ramakrishna. Such is the experience of Bamakhepa Bhairav. Bamakhepa Bhairav of Tarapit. Big Pandits have come to see him do puja. Big Shastric Pandits, Agambagishas. They come and they sit and he starts his puja and he starts saying, Aima, Khaima, Aima, Khama, Aima, Tu Khama. That means come mother, sit mother, eat mother. All the big Agambagishas are like, you know, what the hell? What's this guy doing? Is he crazy? That's when the Tara Murti manifests into this beautiful feminine form. So, Baba Bamakhepa was another Mahabhairav. Once he was sitting in Tarapet outside the temple, and all the village folk, they came to him, said, Baba, Baba, the crops are really bad, everyone's dying of a famine, please do something, Baba, please. So Baba goes and he tells Ma that, Ma, please help these people, help these people. He doesn't respond. So he gets very angry, and he used to get quite angry, Bama Kappa Baba. He got angry and he said that now you watch, you didn't do, and there'll be lightning on the temple. And lightning actually happened. And it broke and it destroyed the roofing, but nothing happened to the. It's actually the Vigraha you see in Tarapet is not the real Vigraha. Nothing happened, but the temple got damaged. And immediately he realizes that, oh my God, Ma, what have I done? In my ego, I have destroyed the temple. And that's when Ma tells him that, don't worry, I wanted to see how. This is just another way of Leela that these Mahapurushas, Ma Anandamoyi Ma, she would also go into Samadhi. Just by Shama Shongit somebody would put on, something, anything, Ma would just go into Samadhi. Just like Ramakrishna Paramhamsa. There's any darshan at any time, and it's very difficult because that happens to some people when Savari comes. And I don't mean like YouTube videos where you see women flinging their hair and claiming that हाँ माँ काली की सवारी आई है. माँ काली की सवारी उतनी आसान है क्या कि हाँ she's going to come and start playing on your head. She doesn't have anything to do, but she's going to coming and playing on your head. So people have so many misconceptions about this, but there is an amalgamation of bhakti and shraddha and devotion and love that can take you to the state of samadhi. That can take you to the state of sahaja samadhi. Because the Sahaja Panth is huge with Nath Sampradaya, Matsyendranath, the Sahaja Panth. The Vajrayans follow the Sahaj Panthis. Many of them are Sahajas. So the Sahaj realization, right? The union of Shiva Shakti in the most Sahaja way. There's a lot of deeper meanings to this. One day maybe I'll expound on that. But this is what he teaches us, that Matsyendranath. He says that this energy, the Shakti, is held together by the Yoginis, the feminine form, holds this together like the glue that holds everything together. Alright, so this was important that to understand the Yoginis, right, and how the cult of Man, the cult of Yoginis. Now, when you look at the Devi and her figurine, it has been found from pre-Harappan period, the Devi. The Mauryas, the Sunga, the Kusanas, Ma Kali's worship gained popularity, massive popularity. Ma Kali's cult and the Yogini cult, Kalikul. Not that Shrikul doesn't worship the Yoginis, they do. Every Shakta Tantra will worship the Yoginis. And they are very important in Kashmir Shaivism also. Now, the thing with the Gupta period, right? The Gupta period added value. Thank you. Thank you. The Gupta period, the rulers of the Gupta dynasty, the clan, they added value to the cult of the Devi, cult of Ma. Okay, they wrote texts. Now, when you talk about what texts were written, it's very interesting. I wrote it out. One, Devi Bhagavatam. Now, I will make a video on Devi Bhagavatam, definitely. Two, Skanda Puran. Hello. Skanda Puran. Then Kalika Puran. Then Chaturvargiya Chintamani. Brihad Samhita. So these are like absolute, sacrosanct texts in this tradition that were all written during the Gupta period. And this is when Ma's followers were widespread, the cult of Shakti, the cult of Ma. And during this very time, as Devi Bhagavatam is being written, Skanda Purana is being written, Kalika Purana is being written, all of these, monumental works of, spiritual awakening, doesn't sound right. Okay, I'll just let that sink in a bit. So as these texts, these ideologies were being expounded, the yoginis were also gaining popularity, right? And they became hugely popular. Why? Because enigma. They were enigmatic. Hello. They were enigmatic. The yoginis were dramatic. They were enigmatic. So, of course, the whole ideology of the mysterious feminine that always plays in our minds, right? Always plays in our minds. And how do we make sense of the mystery behind the feminine? I mean, it's something I don't think we can ever solve. We can just experience and learn from it. So we have the drama component going tip-top. I mean, there was no keeping up with Kardashians back then, right? So people were obviously enamored, right? The common folk. They were enamored by the enigma, the mystery, the surrealism that that were posited by the yogini archetype, right? Who are these yoginis? Who are the kind of women who want to pursue this? Women were known as homemakers. Women were, either courtesans, homemakers, mothers, sisters. But who are these women who want to be yoginis, who are in the yogini cult, right? Because yoginis had their priestesses. Yeah, the main yoginis, the therianthropomorphic forms may have been worshipped, but the yoginis needed their priestesses, right? I mean, they were not worshipped by men. They're worshipped by priestesses. So this is a very pulsating, vibrating energy of Shakta Tantra and Shakta worship. And ultimately all of this was interpreted in the symbol of the yoni. I told you how in the Hirapur temple, if you go from a vantage point, eagle eye view, then you see that it is shaped like a yoni. So all of this ultimately, because the yoni mudra is very, very powerful. The yoni mudra in any Shrikul, Kalikul, it's super important. Alright, and it can only be given by Guru. So it's so beautiful, but we have to remember that the yoni is incomplete without the lingam. And the lingam is incomplete without the yoni. This again takes us back to the Upanishadic thought of Purusha and Prakriti. So this is very important. We come to a wholeness. A wholeness. What is wholeness? When you say, I want to be healed, the whole ideology comes from wholeness, right? The thing of healing is to find wholeness, a completion. The greatest Shaktas of all times, two, of course, Devadidev Mahadev, unki baat to chhodiye, but two others, Bhairav and Ganpati. These two are the greatest Shakta teachers of all, practitioners of all times, right? And the male, the yoginis, of course, but these two, the two males, Bhairav and Ganpati, the two greatest Shaktas of all times. Always remember that the yoginis are super soft on Bhairav. So many people have asked me that, when we do Bhairav sadhana, will the yoginis, will they be open to our energy? Will they be open to us? Yes. Now, the minute you start doing Bhairav sadhana, certain other energies start to take notice, and yoginis are definitely in that energy. They are also considered as Kshetrapalas. So they are always there. When you establish Bhairav Chowki, when you establish Ma Kali Ki Chowki, you are anyway inviting the yoginis. So even if you don't have yogini yantra, I have a yogini yantra, copper, silver plated, silver, pure silver is also available, but that doesn't ship to America. So no, that's only for local students. And I've got copper that can ship to Americans, and that'll be energized and puja done for you. Even if you don't have a yogini yantra, and if you want that, you can drop me an email. You can always establish a pot of water, kalash of water. If you say I have Ma Kali's picture, you can establish a kalash of water, and you can invoke the yoginis there. Now again, yogini, you can invoke them in the tantric padhvati, or you can invoke them in the Shabad padhvati. Now, Shabdi mantras are completely composed by Gorakhnath. So, Gorakhnath, the democrat that he is, he kind of wants everybody to be equal. Many people could not pronounce Sanskrit mantras. So, that's why he created the Shabad mantras as a way for those people to do sadhana. Because everybody cannot pronounce big mantras or come up with the correct pronunciation of the beach. Beaches can be tricky to pronounce, and if you're not particularly great at enunciating words, or you're linguistically challenged, then it can be hard for you. So we have to understand that Bhairav is Yogini's lover, and Yoginis and Bhairavs are inseparable. This is why I say that they are the story of the twin flame. Right? Two sides of the same coin. There cannot be one without the other. And honestly, if you look at the textures, then if you look at the scriptures, text or scripture, texture. So if you look at the text or if you look at the scriptures, you will see that they actually share there's a lot of commonality between them. They share similar functionalities. So what are they? Can we talk a bit about that? So the thing is that I told you that siddhis, okay, anima, garima, laghima, the ashta siddhis I spoke to you about. So all the ashta siddhis are actually directly the result of Bhairavs and yoginis working on your kaya. Alright, and I told you that there are 5 koshas, and there's Kaya Kalpa Yoga, which I will talk about of the Nath Sampradaya, Kaya Kalpa Yoga. Now, the yogini temples, right, they are a celebration, not anymore because most of them are abandoned, but they were celebrations of sensuality and fertility. The temples right, when they were built, it was considered to be the reclining body of a woman, a temple, right? And the womb, right? You visualize a temple, right? And visualize a woman lying down, and her womb is the sanctum sanctorum, right? Sanctum sanctorum of the deity. That's where the deity stays. So think of the form of a sleeping woman. The womb is the sanctum sanctorum. Right, that is where the Devi, yes. So that is where the deity resides, in the womb. So remember that. And now Now, when you think of these temples, these Yogini temples, they stand in direct contrast to the Buddhist viharas, which I mentioned in passing. Sterile monastic vibes of those Buddhist viharas, right? They're sterile, they have a lot of color in them because, they use a lot of color in Buddhism also, but there's a sterile monastic vibe to it. But circular temples celebrated femininity, the female, the womb, the menstrual blood, all of that. And yoginis are life affirming. So this is one of the stark differences between Vajrayana tradition and the Shakta tradition of Sanatan Dharma. So we have to understand that yoginis are life affirming. Say yes to life. The Buddhist monk, right? He withdrew from life. Desire is the root of all evil, right? So he withdrew from life. Whereas the yoginis, they embraced life. So do you see, immediately you understand the difference. They embraced life. The monk yearned for immortality. Okay, how do I do sadhana? How do I become immortal? How do I become disease free? Whereas the yoginis, they had no fear of death. How can they? Their twin flame is Bhairav, Mahakal himself. They didn't fear death at all. The monks, they suppressed desires. Whereas the yoginis unleashed desires. This is also something to understand the difference between the two traditions of Shakta Tantra and Buddhism. The hyperetheral, the rooflessness of the temples, it's stupendous actually. You see, the pavilion is mostly empty in Hirapur and it's open to the sky, right? The feeling of magic and a crazy mystical vibe, it dominates. Now, when you think of openness versus closed spaces of worship, you're closed, right? Like I'm sitting in a closed space. Okay, I'm safe, this, that, definite. But with openness, there's an immediate connection to the astral, to the skies above, to the realms above, right? So that's something. And what is up in the skies? Akash Tattva or ether. So, now I'm going to narrate a little experience, personal experience of mine. Is that when I entered Hirapur, this was ages back, I was with my father. The part between the Vishuddha and the Ajna and the Vishuddha started humming. Brahmari, I teach a lot of you Brahmari, but it was pretty crazy. Now the sound I heard, and I was still in my teenage years, the sound I heard was hung. So later on when I got my Diksha and all, and of course I was speaking to my guru about this and I learned Pancha Puja, and then I realized that hum is the sound of Akash or ether. And that is connected to flowers. Hang akashitatvatmikaye pushpai samarpayami. So akashitattva, Vishuddha, flowers, right? It's very, very interesting. Pushpat pujayami, and the deity of Vishuddha, the deity Sadashiv, of the Ardha Chakra on the forehead. And the Yoginis, they directly connect to Sadashiv. This is also a very, very esoteric tattva that I told you. The Yoginis directly connect to Sadashiv. There is the Ardha Chakra on the forehead, right? The Ardha Chakra on the forehead. And this is the place of Sadashiv. And this is who the Yoginis connect us to. And Sadashiv is the form of Shiv with 5 faces, 10 hands, and Trinetra or 3 eyes. 5 faces, Aghora, Vama, Deva, Ishan, Sadhyojatat. I told you, the 5 faces of Shiva. Now, the thing with the meditation on the Akash that wants Sadashiv, I teach this on my Yogini course if you're interested. 5 hours, one needs to hold Sadashiv in your mind and think, I am Akash. Everything is inside me. Matter, time is inside me, but I am hollow. So this is something, I am Akash, everything is inside me, matter, time is inside me, but I am hollow. So realizing the voidness, the shunyata, but realizing that everything is inside of you. 5 hours you have to meditate on Sadashiv, and then you have to hold this feeling inside. Now, this feeling is not easy to, I will. Slowly I'll get to it. I think I made a lot of Yogini videos. I will get to Prachanda Chandika. I have done Prachanda Chandika Chinnamasta with Yogini thing, but I think I'll get into Chandika next. I will do Chandika next. A lot of people have been asking me, so yeah, I will. But as I was saying that this is what you need to do, 5 hours. You need to hold Sadashiv and you need to think of yourself as Ditha, as Akash, Tattva. That everything is inside of you, but you are hollow. So that openness, right? And it's not easy, as I was saying, and Yoginis can help you with this, can give you this feeling. That's why they are hyperetheral. So they connect us directly to Sadashiv right here. Akash Tattva, no roof, connecting you directly to Akash, activating the place from here to here. This is circulating, right? We know how the Panchatattva works. Mooladhar is Prithvi Tattva, then comes Swadhisthana is Jal Tattva, Manipur is Agni Tattva, then Anhat is Vayu Tattva, Vishuddha is Akasha Tattva, and then ultimately the amalgamation of Shiva Shakti through Ajna and Sahasrar. So this is very, very important to realize how the Panchatattvas work, because once you come up to Vishuddha, you have to take Kundalini here and then pierce the Brahmarantra, and you have achieved Methun. This is the coming together of Shiva Shakti, the polarities. So this is what the Yoginis can do for you, give you this feeling, this connection with Sadashiv, and they bring us to this realization. So if you want to do my WhatsApp course, drop me an email. It's $11 for a class, and you have to book a minimum of 11 classes, and they will prepare you and connect you to the Yoginis, right? So drop me an email if you're interested in that, or the workshop that I offer for Yoginis. Because like I said, that Yoginis give us this realization that nothing is real. I mean, even science is saying with quantum mechanics that everything is after all a simulation. It's like a huge pile of data from a 2D surface being projected onto the 3D world. So yes, yes. So also what they show us is that nothing is real. Not creation, not destruction. Nothing is real. This is what is meant that they destroy illusion and delusion. That they show us that, nothing is real. And this can only happen with their connection to Akasha Tattva. Akasha Tattva. Yes, Gayatri Ma is actually Saraswati. None other than Saraswati. And when you think about the imagery, right, of the yoginis that I told you that they fly naked in the sky. And this naked in the sky means they are connected to Akasha Tattva. Also with Khechari Mudra. The Khechari Mudra I've explained many times. With Khechari Mudra you can fly. This gives you the power to fly. Right? And why naked? Because there is no clothing in Akasha, right? We are, with our stupid petty minds as human beings, we tend to think of nudity as, either we look at it salaciously, like, lustfully, or we tend to condemn it. And this condemnation, I think, comes from the fact that we are ashamed of ourselves or our bodies, or, society has taught us this, that, and the other. But the first step towards body positivity is to realize that you do have a body, and it does not need to be sexualized, it does not need to be sensationalized, it is just a body, right? So this awareness is very important because, I believe society is so sexually repressed that these concepts kind of like, like what is this woman even talking about? But in reality, if you were not so repressed, you'd possibly understand what I'm talking about. But that's fodder for thought for another day. But let's get to, there are no, there's no garb that the planets wear. That the Saturn doesn't put on a robe, or Jupiter doesn't, wear a gown, or Venus doesn't really wear a white dress, or, even Aphrodite appeared from the seas naked. So it's the birth of Venus by Botticelli, right? Venus is naked for a reason. Planets and stars are not garbed, right? They are themselves, at least what we can see of their energy. Now, it is this connection to Ajna and Vishuddha that is connected to Shavchedan that I told you about, the mysterious ritual that I told you about. The yoginis practice this mystical ritual of Shavchedan. That means they would decapitate a corpse. And this Akash connection to the ether and the Khechari is why they practiced Shavchedan. Very, very interesting. Now, what are the beej of Akash? Ns, Ga, Na, Ma, Sha, Ha, Tha, Dirgha, Tha, Ang. And each of these beejas have to be practiced with Khechari Mudra. And this also I teach in my workshop. Now, when we come to Sri Vidya and the Sri Medu Puja, I think you can see my Medu there. I think so, yes. Sri Medu Puja, when you come to the 7th Avarana, and the color is deep blue, like Uchishta Ganapati himself, deep blue. And this is known as Sarva Roghara Chakra, the destroyer of all disease. Now, the yoginis associated with this avarana are Rahasya yoginis, and they bring forth Chit Shakti, Chit consciousness from Chaitanya. Om Shri Chaitanya Matsyendranathaya Namaha. Before any of the Nath Babas, we say Om Shri Chaitanya Matsyendranath or Gorakhnath or Kanifanath or Jalandharanath, like that we say Namaha. That's the Mula mantra. So, and if you have a guru, the guru will give you a beach to add to the Mula mantra. And then you can call upon. So this Matsyendranath is again very, very connected to the ether. Though we think of Matsyendranath as fish, water, Pisces, Meen Rashi comes to mind. But Matsyendranath is very, very connected to ether. And I'll explain why some other time. So this Rahasya Yoginis and Sarvarog Hara Chakra, they give us Chit Shakti. The Yoginis here work with the astral. Again, Khechadi, with the astral. And all diseases emanate from Akasha Tattva. Even if you have Sthula Deha in problems with your physical body, you know it is originating in the Akasha Tattva, in the ether. Right? And the main rogue is ignorance. It's only because of our ignorance do we cause situations or experiences that are painful for us, for our body, our mind, our soul. So the main disease is ignorance. That is something we've got to work with. Tripura Siddha is Chakreshwari here. Tripura Siddha. And the mantra is Hreem Shreem So. Hreem Shreem So. Sarva Roga Hara Chakra. Seventh Avarana. Rahasya Yoginis bringing forth Chit Shakti. And the mudra is Sarva Khechadi mudra. Sarva Khechadi mudra that controls awareness. And of course, you know, in each of the avaranas, the 9 avaranas, each avaranas have yoginis, have bij, have mool mantra, have a mudra. Sarva Khechadi mudra controls this avarana. Also the bij of this, the mool is Rim, Shrim, So. The bij is Gang. 7th avarana, Sarvaroga Hara Chakra. Gang is Ganpati bij. Gang, Gang. It's also Ganesh Kulluka. And Chit Shakti Yogini is connected to Chishta Ganpati. So remember this color of this avarana is deep blue like Uchishta Ganpati. So this Chit Shakti Yogini is connected directly to Uchishta Ganpati. And Matangi is also the name of a Yogini. Do you know that? And his consort is Matangi. The 8 Vak Devis, you know, Vach Devis or Vak Devis, you can call them either or. They reside here. They wrote the Lalita Sahasranam, the Vak Devis, the Vach Devis. Aing Vada Vada Vagvadini Aing. Right? Each chakra has an associated yogini in Sri Vidya. Each chakra, each avarana. And they are known as Upavidya. Like Ma Kali's Mahavidya, Tara's Mahavidya, Bagala is Siddha Vidya, Matangi is Siddha Vidya. So these are, the yoginis are Upavidyas. Upavidyas. And their main purpose is that they get us closer to Ishtadev. To our own Ishtadev, they bring us closer. So this is something to think about. Why embrace the yoginis? This is what I want to end with. Why should we embrace the yoginis? I mean, their cult is gone. I mean, cult seems like such a horrible word to you, but their teachings are gone. Their temples lie in states of abject depredation. Then why am I, suddenly here on YouTube, making video on video, try to talk to you about the yoginis who are Upavidyas? Why? Firstly, they are mystical. Now, who doesn't need a dose of mysticism in their lives, right? I mean, Let's be real. They are magical. They give us power, right? They they are the amalgamation of feminine power plus spirituality. They take no nonsense. Their twin flame is Bhairav, who treats them equally. You know, they're treated equally by their soulmate. Actually feared also, if I may say so. Bhairav dances with them in the night. And then, if he doesn't dance with them, I don't know what the yoginis will do to him. I mean, once Kali asked Shiva for food, and he was meditating, and she was so hungry that she consumed him. And this is when she became Dhumavati. So, you know, God forbid their anger, their wrath. So they're an amalgamation of feminine power, sensuality, fertility, all of that, but wrathful also. And they don't listen to Shiva always, like I told you in the last video. Plus spirituality, deep spiritual awareness. Okay, now the womb, it creates all things. And the temples are all in the shape of wombs, I mean mostly, the important ones anyways. And by venerating the feminine, we keep the world in balance, bringing order and harmony. Right? The divine feminine form is sacred, not evil. It's sacred. Please understand that. For everybody that does not understand this, please understand that the feminine form is not evil. The feminine form is not out to seduce you. The feminine form is not going to eat up your children or your fetuses or whatever you think. Just stop already. Okay? We are sacred, and we symbolize forces of fertility. Without us, you would not, without our menstrual blood, there would be no propagation of the species. Understand that. The feminine is directly connected to vegetation. Food. Who gives us food? When we are born, our mom. First from a breast, and then she makes us food. So we have to understand that there is a side to the feminine that also brings the yoginis, that brings about death of the ego, right? Yoga, union with the divine, absolutely magical, all these forces of Shakti, all these different embodiments of Shakti. 64 instruments of enjoyment are there actually. 64 that tempt the jiva according to the scriptures. 64 kalas or divisions. 64 chambers of Shiva's chakras. Jiva's chakras, sorry. 64 number is the number where Shiva and Kali reside. This is very, very important. 64 being the number where Shiva and Kali reside. So this is something to think of. Are we going to embrace the yoginis? Because, you know, yoginis give us, their life affirming. They're not afraid of death. The monk says, oh, I'm going to do tapasya because I want immortality. The yoginis say, embrace death. Because death is as inevitable as life. Nothing to be afraid of. It removes fear. After all, their twin flame is Bhairav, right? So anyway, I really hope you guys have enjoyed this Yogini series, because, you know, I don't know if I'm going to make more videos on the yoginis right now. I have a lot of material though. And I might, but I think next video will be Chandika. And let's see, I have a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. Because of my busy schedule, I am unable to come out here and take this time out more frequently. You know, I don't get to do it as much as I'd like. So having said all that, thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for being up. Thank you to those that book my readings and my workshops and join my group on WhatsApp. It's a group on Yogini. It's a group on I'm not Yogini, it's a group on Uchishta Ganapati, but I told you how Uchishta Ganapati is like connected to everything. Thank you, and join my WhatsApp group, please, because I often do group pujas there with a very small donation for everybody concerned. So, support this channel by becoming a member outright. I mean, absolutely, it's really cheap. It's almost like taking me out for a cup of coffee. And if you become a member, and if you are in the friends, no, not friends, supporters, and hardcore Astro gang, yes, that's the highest tier. And I will have one-on-one interaction with you. If you join my WhatsApp group, definitely I will try to answer any questions that you may have. But I also, say that if you do intend to take a workshop, then please join the WhatsApp group first, and then but if you don't intend to take a workshop, then maybe it's not the best place, because I don't want too many people there. I want students there, because I oftentimes reveal a lot of things and have a lot of private discussions. So having said that, thank you. Good night. Shubh Ratri. Au revoir. What else? Sayonara. What's this? The Spanish one? Hasta la vista. Right? It's really been nice coming out here and talking to you. Please support the channel and drop me a message if you want to inquire about something. Book your own pujas. Hey, Reds! Book your own pujas, remedy pujas, and what have you. Yes, I am. It's like 2 hours. Anyway, see you soon. And soon it is. And Chandika, okay? Chandika will be the next video. Hopefully, unless I get buenas noches. I love it. Buenas noches, right? Adios. Sayonara. Shubh Ratri. Khuda Hafiz. Namaskar. Vanakkam. Is that correct? Adios. I did say adios. Au revoir. I said au revoir. That's all I can think of. Like, literally my mind's a blank right now. But yeah, it's been quite cathartic today. Ciao. Oh yeah, ciao. Yeah, ciao, totally, ciao. Yeah, I forgot that. Ciao. That's like my husband's favorite, ciao. Arrivederci. I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't know. I don't want to botch any words right now. I think I had a good run. While I'm at it, I'm going to exit. But yeah, it's been nice, and we've had a lot of movement in the group. So if you want to be associated with all things, with all things Shakta Tantra and Upasana and Mantra and all that, then drop me an email, or no, don't drop me an email, text me on WhatsApp, +91 7030258060. drop me a message and ask to be added to the group, but please leave your names, otherwise it gets really confusing. Hey, can I be added to the group? Like, yes, what's your name? Like, that should be like, you know, something you do anyways. Like, hey, Tina, hey Ma, this is me, I'm from so and so, can you please add me to the group? Yes, effective. So, bye, Red. I'm so sad you came so late, literally. But hopefully, next live you will be there, and so will all of you that were present here. And please share this video, guys. Share this video, and I will see you soon.